Let's get you a corporate voice then. We've got Mr. K. Srinivasan, who is Managing Director at Carborundum Universal, who joins us on the show to talk about an acquisition that the company recently made. Now, Mr. Srinivasan, details of the acquisition announced in South Africa, if you could just spell that out for us, and also what's the total outlay for that acquisition?
Yeah, good morning. We have announced recently the acquisition of a 100% stake in RHI Isithebe. This business primarily makes electrominerals and refractories. RHI is one of the world's leading players in refractories, and this was a small part of their business and they thought to exit it. We have been in discussions with them for quite some time now. This acquisition for Carborundum means that we would now have almost double the fusion capacity for electrominerals as far as non-silicon carbide products are concerned. It also gives us flow control products of refractories, which is primarily for the steel industry. So it's a good strategic fit for Carborundum.
Mr. Srinivasan, afternoon. If we talk about the long-term picture for the company, give us details on your capex plans, capacity addition, and what is the total investment that you're going to look at?
Yeah, what the capex announced is 300 crores, excluding any inorganic acquisitions. And we are staying the course for this 300 crores capex. We will do this across Carborundum Consolidated, which means in India as well as in Russia and South Africa.
And also, Mr. Srinivasan, how do you plan to fund the RHI acquisition? Are there any fundraising plans that you have for the capital expenditure?
This acquisition, what we announced, would approximately cost us, both in terms of acquisition cost as well as equity infusion, about $5 million. It will be funded by internal accruals and debt. The same would be the case as far as our capex is concerned. As you know, our consolidated debt equity is totally about less than 3.5, including short and long term. So we're not very geared. We are quite comfortable funding it with internal accrual and debt.
And how has the rupee depreciation impacted your revenues?
See, if you look at Carborundum's consolidated revenue, it would be approximately 50% outside India and 50% in India. We operate with the operating companies in Russia, China, South Africa and India, the bigger pieces. So we are in all the R currencies, renminbi, ruble, rand and the rupee. Each of these currencies have to an extent depreciated against the dollar. We have been very prudent in managing our forex, and I believe that we are reasonably protected. But in terms of the business itself, depreciating rupee in India means that our Indian production becomes that much more competitive against imports. Our export also is that much more profitable. It is impacting in terms of capex spend and to the extent of imports that we make, but it's not going to be a killer.
Also, Mr. Srinivasan, if you could take us, or rather give us a guidance on the margin picture and also what the profit growth expected is.
As I mentioned, top line growth, we have been saying 15% is what we are targeting, and I think we will still stay the course as far as that is concerned. Margins remain under pressure with increased input costs, with energy becoming more expensive, and I think margins will be under pressure. We will have to take it on a quarter-on-quarter basis.
So speaking of the increased input costs, are there any price hikes in the offing for the various product categories that you offer?
I think the price increases have to happen across geographies because there is a clear increase in input cost, largely component of energy cost as well as input material cost. We will have to also moderate this to the extent possible because the markets are relatively soft. We will have to, like I said, take it quarter on quarter. At the moment, the top line growth is going to be largely product mix and volume.
All right, Mr. Srinivasan, thanks very much for joining us on the show and taking us through the details of that acquisition you made and also what the growth outlook going forward for Carborundum is. Let's take it back.